Wonderful. Hi, greetings. I hope you are all well. I am here again this evening to share with you. My name is Odessa, doctorate of natural medicine, womb wellness coach, soul therapist, and just here to talk about things that I am passionate about, which is primarily women's wealth, health, and wisdom, but also just how we in general as people can raise up our energy and learn how to navigate better. And so I want to greet you all and thank you for joining me for this episode today. So I want to talk about the process of healing that we go through, but like the kind of erratic force that we sometimes apply to the healing process, right? And why things don't necessarily work out for us when we're approaching healing in this particular way. So I would love for you to sit back, relax, take a listen, send this to a friend of yours, have them join in. But more importantly, hashtag replay. Let me know, comment that you're listening and that you're participating, that you can resonate and what resonated with you, because this is important. I really would love to know more about who you are and what you want to hear about. So basically, I want to start off talking about, the people who I work with. I work predominantly with females who identify as women. I work with everyone, but this is predominantly who I work with. And so one of the issues that I see, that people come to me with is, first of all, not recognizing the value of caring for themselves, not recognizing the value of making sure that you're putting time in to care for yourself adequately and consistently, right? Because, not doing anything is still doing something, right? We have choice. And because we have choice, the choice to do nothing is an active choice, right? An active way of participating. It's a passive way of participating, but it's still active, right? And so there's a lot of, if something is not broke, then why should I fix it? I think at some moment we've all had these kinds of thoughts or these kinds of experiences, in the way that the issue will come up and it might flare up for you. You might have a really difficult menstrual cycle. You might have, shooting pain. Maybe your PMS was off the rockers. Maybe it was nausea. Maybe, you know what I mean? All of these different things, but it only happened this one time. You know what I mean? Or it doesn't happen very often, or I've experienced it before and I know how to navigate it. So I don't really need to fix it. We've seen our parents do it. We've seen, family members do it, where there's an issue, there's a problem, and we all know that there's a problem, but you're making a conscious decision to do nothing. And so the child who grows up in this environment learns by osmosis, right? We watch what we are exposed to, and that's what we receive. Like, we don't remember what's necessarily being said, but we watch and we receive. And so this idea of starting and stopping, right, it's implanted in us from the beginning. Right? How often do you see your parents, your loved ones begin something and say it's almost like this weird sadistic game, of like, oh, I'm going to the gym. Especially now, January comes and everyone has a membership. You know what I mean? Like, I'm laughing. It's not that funny though, right? Everyone has a membership and everyone is preparing themselves to go and participate and do this thing. But then it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to go today because I don't feel like it, or my schedule is busy, or, so it doesn't allow for this to happen. And so I'm just going to let it roll into another week, another month, another habit, another pattern, so this is what happens. And then what really ends up being perpetuated is the sleep deprivation that we're putting ourselves through, that gets perpetuated. You know what I mean? Like there's no excuse, but we're still maintaining it because we haven't put any other boundaries in place because it's not broken and things happen once in a while. So maybe the sleep isn't something that's bothering me when actually it is, but I digress, right? So you're avoiding sleeping properly, getting adequate sleep. You might be not eating properly. How many people will say, well, it's not bothering me now. I maybe responded to it before, or I only gained a little bit of weight, or I can handle the post, bodily function, malfunction that might happen. It's easy for us to say that, your body, you're hiding from your body, but your body is actually speaking to you. It's yelling to you. We're not supposed to feel pain and discomfort. It's not supposed to happen that way. And when we do feel pain and discomfort, it's because there's a problem. And imagine when there is a problem, we will look at the problem and do the exact opposite. Or a more literal example is we'll take out our phone and record the problem as opposed to intervene or stop and get actively involved and be an accomplice. Right, actually engage with other people or with ourselves, within ourselves, right? So there's this whole notion of either I'm not going to fix something because it's broken, it's not broken. So like the idea of being consistent with this particular issue, it's still foreign in your experience. It's still foreign in your conscious because you don't recognize, what it means to be consistent. You haven't maintained that, you haven't held that down. Right. And so this starting and stopping is what you know and what you're familiar with. But the thing about it is that this way doesn't give you the results that you're looking for. What usually happens is if you introduce something that the body deems as synchronous, in sync, right? Something that just brings the body into a greater state of homeostasis. It increases the ecology of the inside of the body. The body's like, hey, wow, I want to work better. So it does that, you know what I mean? Whether it's a food that you're eating or something you're drinking or an experience that you're giving it, that really creates a safe space for your body to thrive optimally, right? If you're not able to create that kind of consistent environment for it, your body is not going to respond. Your body will give you a response the first time you try it, maybe the second time you try it, but you're not maintaining it, first of all. So your habit has taken over in terms of frequency, in terms of strength, the ability to overpower. I'm sorry, I'm sitting on something and it's, it's discomforting. Right? This is what's, or some of the experiences that we go through. And so you're not addressing your issue, right? You're not addressing it and you're hiding it. You're still hiding it from yourself, which is making it worse because you're not facing it, And so there's this, pseudo attempt. You're trying to do something, you set up everything to make it look in your mind, I don't know if it actually manifests outside, you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's lodged deep in the heart, or deep in your psyche, in your subconscious, but your mind, you're saying, your critical mind is saying, okay, well, I want to do these things. I want to, get my act together. I need to be accountable. You know what I mean? I need to get to the bottom of this health issue. I want to have my babies in the next 2 years. I got to get my body prepared. And you're taking, this week to plan and then next week to take action, and then you don't follow through in the first week or the second week, or maybe you stop and you continue on, later on down the road in a couple of months and you start the whole process again, right? And this is making the problem worse. It's making the problem worse because like you pushed back on your habits, and your habits, they just busted forward like a boomerang now. So every time you start over again, you're starting over again with the weight of everything that you're doing, We need to keep all of this in mind, right? It's not a cookie cutter experience. And sometimes that's what we're waiting for, because of how we've been taught with Occidental medicine, how we've been taught with consumerism, how we've been taught with how client service used to be, or service à la clientèle, customer service used to be. It's not that much anymore. It's very impersonal. Your old paradigms, you don't want your old paradigms to have precedence over the work that you're striving to establish. How you were is not who you can be to hold the vibration of what you want. You can't do that. Like, as soon as you step off the hill towards your goal, you fall off into a cliff, because you've got to build yourself up. Like, where are you going, right? And so starting and stopping, it's not giving you that chance to do it. It's saying, okay, well, it didn't work. My body didn't work, well with it, or it didn't work for me, or, I fell off of it, man. I just didn't have the energy to continue, or like, it's not a priority. You know what I mean? It's just not a priority. But your body is intelligent. That's the crazy part. You know what I mean? Your body is intelligent. Think of, like, if you have children, or if you've been around young children and they come to you and they tell you the truth. And, some adults will look at them and be like, I'm not going to listen to you because you're a child and you're telling me the truth. So I'm offended that I'm hearing the truth from a child. So I'm not going to do it. But the truth is there. And it's the same experience that we have in our bodies. If your body's saying, okay, I have this chronic issue, you know what I mean? Like, every year, like during these particular months of the year, like, I go through an episode, I get very depressive. My health is not in alignment. I don't feel good about myself. You know what I mean? Like, I gain a couple of pounds every year. I do the same thing. And then I try to do one or two things. I know what they say I can do, but I don't do it. You know what I mean? And so it affects my period. And now it's off for the next 6 months. I don't know when it's going to come. Like, why do we choose to allow the circumstance to continue it when you have a choice? You have options and you have a choice, but we oftentimes will choose to stay complacent. Why do we do that? Right? You need to figure out what it is your body is telling you. You need to answer it. When we're healing multidimensionally, when we're healing physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and we're healing our karma, and we're looking at all these other cycles that are happening simultaneously, we need to look at everything, and we need to be okay on all levels. And to be okay means that you need to feel satisfied and secure. And to feel satisfied and secure means you need to have been heard. And you need to have had your needs met. And if you're not able to listen to what your body is requiring, what your health is requiring, what your reproductive health system is requiring, if your mind is not in a good space and it's requiring something different, but you're making a conscious decision, you're making the choice to not do what your body needs and requires, then where's the progress? Where's the progress? Because now you're going to go through the process of feeling guilt as well, because you know what to do. You know what I mean? And then you suppress it, and then it's a whole cycle that happens, right? So we're living in these old paradigms. If you're not addressing it, you're hiding it, right? Your body is intelligent. It's going to tell you what it needs. And it's up to you to silence your intellect so that the mind and the higher sense perceptions and the wisdom of the body can come through and speak to you and guide you. Because one of the principles of healing holistically is really following and listening to what your body needs, not necessarily saying, okay, this is what I'm giving it. Okay. So we got to figure out how to communicate with it. You need to figure out what your body needs. Does it need longer cycles? Does it need shorter cycles? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of medicine does it need? cellular medicine, prana. Like, what is it that you need? And how much time does it need to reverse? How much time does it need to heal? I was having a very interesting conversation with a sister, and you know, she was asking if when we go into nature, do we just, heal 100% and that's it, And I was saying, the process of healing is evolutionary and everybody will experience it as appropriate, always and only as appropriate. If your experience in this particular life cycle requires that your illness maintain the direction and the calling of what your soul needs to do, right? Then that's what's appropriate for your journey. People who are born with congenital diseases, people who are born with, different spectrums of mental retardation, you know what I mean? People who develop, terminal illnesses later on in life, like, people who just have issues, that they need to focus on every moment of the day. Sometimes that is exactly what is appropriate for you. That's your experience. And there are levels of healing that you will attain within that, but necessarily having a full recovery, that may not be your story. So I have to make sure and always clarify this when we talk about healing, right? Because everyone can heal. There's healing on all levels. Okay, so I had to say that because it was in my notes, right? And so if you're playing with this, right, if you're not respecting this particular process and you're using the erratic, spontaneous process of Occidental medicine, then the results that you're expecting to get are going to vary, or they may not even be, right? So one of the best ways that I've found for myself on my own journey and what I've seen from my clients, one of the best ways to get the results is to join a container. Put yourself in an environment around the people who have the same goals as you, who have the experience that you want to gain, who have the transformations that you are striving towards, right? What do they say? The 5 people who you are surrounded by will determine the level of success that you will experience, and whatever you determine as success, right? Like, you're going to emulate the people and the things around you. And so what I have noticed and what the people around me have noticed is when you put yourself in that environment, right, where there is the protocol, there is a method, there is the work to do, there is the accountability. When these things are all in place, what happens is you begin to create that consistent environment, right? And when you're able to create that consistent environment, then you're able to slow down. Then you begin to perceive a little bit differently. You can step back away from what you can see is not necessarily the full and true you. It's what has been created and cultivated for now in the moment here. But that's not the fullness of who you are. And so when you step into an environment and when you surround yourself with people and experiences that are geared specific to the outcomes that you want to achieve, the first thing that you do is you slow down. You naturally begin to slow down because you're feeling safe. You're feeling as though your body is feeling as though it's a bit more regulated. You know what I mean? Like, you can, like, take a look at what's happening around you now. You can give yourself more time to review and reflect and regulate, right? You can give yourself the time to be like, okay, what really has to be done here? How did I get to this point? What are the different layers of dysfunction that I've been living with? Because I know it's not just the food that I'm eating. I know that it's not just, like the amount of exercise that I'm doing, because I'm still in the same situation, but I'm doing what I was told to do. So by putting yourself in that environment, you're giving yourself the ability to see into the nuances, right? You're able to set clear outcomes. You're able to clean house. You know what I mean? Like, really take a moment. I have found that has always been the case. I have joined quite a few different group programs. And the last few have been year-long programs where you're in there and you're working on the work by yourself and you're communicating with others, but it's very self-guided, right? And so it's forcing a level of development. It's forcing you to, come face to face with yourself. Are you going to do the work, or are you not going to do the work? You know what I mean? Is this truly something that is a priority for you? Are you prepared, you know what I mean, to commit the time? Because once you enter into that container, you know that, okay, this is the goal, this is the outcome that I'm working on, this is what I can work towards, and these are results that I want to see. I'm actively working on this. And so you start off by preparing your slate anew. That's the part that I've always loved the most. You know what I mean? Like looking at where I am, where I was, and recalibrating myself. And so by having that space, by having that time frame now to review, to, rewire, to start again, you know what I mean? To reflect on what was there, to clean up, to start actively doing the work, to ask the questions, to sit with the information, because there's a level of integration that happens too, but very much, what are we doing? What is it that we're doing? Okay. There's a level of doing and there's a level of being. So how much of each are you able to embody? Aha, right? Because now we're getting into that aspect of embodiment. It isn't just about you want to, do these actions because you're told that this is going to give you the results. What a lot of people don't understand, or what is overlooked, is that especially when we're dealing with the feminine, especially when we're dealing with energy, and especially when we're looking at natural and holistic medicine, you can get a level of understanding, but if you do not embody the experience, right? If you do not experience that viscerally, right? The level of longevity, the level of consistency it can be questionable. Okay. Taking the time to relax into it, giving yourself the ability and the opportunity to learn the principles, to see how it's working in your life. Because once again, it's not just linear. When I work with my clients, when I'm working with women, like some of the overarching issues that are connected to their reproductive health, they could never fathom that the two are related, or the perception of how they were seeing themselves, as a woman. Like, these kinds of connections, they really help you to be able to settle in. So your mind will return to normal, right? But you need to create a new structure that is your new normal, right? So as your mind wants to function in its normal paradigm, because you're creating a new experience for it, a repetitive experience over X amount of time that you're engaged in the protocol or in the method, right? You're creating a new normal. You're teaching your cells, your body, how to function, how to move into a higher vibration, a more entrained vibration, how to use the energy around you to maintain and sustain it. Another issue that I'm seeing, especially within the reproductive health community, is, this desire to just kind of jump on the bandwagon and have something happen in 3 to 6 months. I would love for it to happen that way too. And we do get results. Some people, especially if you have very chronic conditions, some people require a long time to be able to maintain. And sometimes it takes more than the time that you expect. You know what I mean? And so if you are able to immerse yourself for a set period of time, like, we complain and lament. How many times has someone been like, oh, you have to wait 1 or 2 days extra, 1 or 2 weeks extra? And it's like, oh my gosh, the end of the world. Why isn't what I want coming to me right now? And it's like, okay, it's just a couple of days or a couple of weeks. In the grand scheme of 52 weeks, you can't wait for 2 extra weeks, or you can't wait 2 extra days. You know what I mean? And the same thing when it comes to like this kind of process of like, okay, the commitment to self, the commitment to make that change for your reproductive health, that commitment to see a difference in your emotional state, that commitment to want to live a life where you don't feel as though you're running away from it, but you're running towards it. Right? So by creating a structure, by applying principles, by being in an environment, this really gives you the opportunity to complete the process that you wanted to start. I need to make sure and say that only 10% of people actually complete the programs that they purchase and they join. Only 10%. Only 10% of people complete the programs that they join. And that's one thing that I am so adamant about, is make sure and do the work. Whatever is presented there is for you. You know, whatever it is that you choose to join, if you're resisting it, maybe it's because there's more in there for you to learn, even if it's the basics of something that you think you know. Right? And so knowing this, like, how are you going to interact? How are you going to approach the idea of coaching, of, you know what I mean, working with a health practitioner, of engaging with a program, you know what I mean, of getting your health in order? So these are some of the things I want you to think about. I really want you to take the time and think about, like, what have been your decisions that have brought you to here now? What have been your conscious decisions? You know, have you been part of the start and stop crew? Have you been a part of the, you know, erratic and nomadic crew? I like that word. I like that combination, erratic and nomadic, right? When it comes to your health, getting your weight under control, you know what I mean? Getting your digestion under control, getting, you know, the itches and the scratches and the issues under control, you know, getting your menstrual cycles under control, your, you know, infertility under control. What kind of environments are you creating? You know, is it an environment that is going to be conducive to the ecology of your body, to the homeostasis of your body? Is it going to really, you know, give you the results that you're looking for? So if this is something that if this is a journey that you're on, is something that you're actively looking for, I want to invite you to sign up for a suitability call. My womb activation program is open for enrollment. And I'm presently taking calls for applications of people who want to work with me and want to learn more about the work that I do. And so just to kind of give you a really brief description of the process of a suitability call, what happens is, as soon as you sign up for a suitability call, I will send you an application questionnaire for you to fill in, as well as a little mini assessment. And this assessment is going to help us both to see, where are the gaps in your health? What have you been doing? What have you been working on? And what are some of the next steps that you may need to take to be able to get to the next level in your journey, on your wellness journey, right? And so those gaps are what we're looking for. And we have a conversation based off of your score. So you take a score of your assessment and you bring it to our call and we talk about it. How is this affecting you, you know, and what are these outcomes? And so what are some of the steps that you can take? And so we look at that so that I can help you to determine, right, what it is that you think you need. And then we also talk about the programs that I offer, the 6-month activation program and the 12-month activation program. I also offer a VIP day. So if you want to, you know, you think you just want to have a one-shot conversation with me and then have access to the core program to work on your own, we can do this. If you think you need the support and want to work with me over 6 months intensively, we're able to do this. And if you prefer to have your hand held as we walk through the 4 seasons of the year, This is a really special program that I love actually to do, because it really requires a level of devotion on the both of us to commit to your healing. But this is also available to you. And so if this is interesting, and you think that you'd like to have that conversation with me, I want to invite you to click on the link in my bio and book your suitability call, so that you and I can chat it up and see where you're at. And if you are not going to click on the link in my bio, you can click below and comment. Comment and let me know what your biggest takeaway from this was, any ahas, and why you found them to be an aha. Hashtag replay, let me know so that we can communicate. I wish you a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, and morning, wherever you are, whenever you watch this and listen to this episode. I thank you so much for joining me and listening to me talk about my passions. And I look forward to coming back and sharing with you once again, y'all. Take care and be well.